My name is Deji Adebusoye, and I'm a partner at Sile Capital, and I'm also the author of Scaling for Success. Very quickly, I just want to quickly touch on one very important point in this video in terms of things that SMEs need to focus on or they need to do differently. And I'm assuming that many people, entrepreneurs watching this, fall into multiple categories. There are those that have started their businesses and they are growing and scaling it already, but then there are those that are looking to start their businesses. We're entrepreneurs at heart. They want to start something, and you're just trying to gather knowledge on how best to go about it. And the thing I want to talk about is the concept of starting small and scaling, or starting close to cash. What do I mean by that? It means that there is no shame in starting a business in a small format. One of the things that you benefit from doing that is because you as an entrepreneur get to work in multiple dimensions of the business in those early days, you fully understand the nitty-gritty of what it takes to run that business, so that when you start onboarding teams, start onboarding people into your organization, because as you grow, as you scale, that you can't handle everything. In fact, there are very few things you can handle, and your job description changes all of a sudden. A good example I'll give is Ace Food. Many of us might know the company called Ace Food. Is a seasoning or spice company in Nigeria. When they started that business in Nigeria, they started from one small room in Lagos in Nigeria, in one small part of the country. And basically, they started with what you would call today a grinding machine, and they would go into the market themselves, the local market, to buy the ingredients. They will bring there, they will grind those things. Of course, they had somebody that is doing that. They grind and they package and they sell. Today, the company is one of the biggest or one of the most prominent spice companies in the country. There was no shame in starting small. That which helps you to understand, refine the business in that format. But then, because of the vision, because of the drive, because of the want for growth, and there are many other factors that come into that play. But there's really nothing wrong in wanting to start small. Entrepreneurship is not a 100-meter dash; it's a marathon, and you need to have your mind fixed on that it's a marathon. It's for the long haul. I'm going to build, I'm going to start small, and I'm going to scale from there. Now, that's the part of starting small. The part of starting close to cash, which is as important, is looking at every value chain, whether you're selling a product or you're selling a service. If you productify it and look at it from a product point of view, there are parts that the cycle to turn into cash is a lot faster than other parts. Focus on the part of that business that you can easily turn to cash, and then you can expand out of that as you begin to scale, as you begin to grow, as you begin to get confidence from the lenders or investors. Then you can begin to backwards integrate, to begin to expand to those parts of the business, of the value chain, that might take longer to get to cash, but they also help to improve your margin. That is where you begin to diversify your business. I'll give this example, which I've given quite a lot of times, about a soy milling business. We were at a pitching event where a lot of SMEs came to pitch for investors. Private investors were there, banks were there as well. And there was this particular company that stood out to every one of us. It's a soy, they were selling soya oil. Now, the interesting part of what this young man was doing, he was selling the soybean oil in the northern part of Nigeria. But if you think about the production line, the value chain to get to that point where you have soybean oil, there's the growing part of the soybean, the farmers who grow it. You could have been involved in that part. There's the aggregation bit where you aggregate and buy the soybean. There's cash involved in that, even though it might be a shorter cycle, but there's cash. You buy the soybean. There is a production processing part where you set up all the nice capex equipment, to be able to process the soybean, to crush and to extract the oil and get it into the packaging section where you package, you market, and you distribute. The interesting thing about the business model of this guy was that he did none of the early parts of that business model. All he was doing was he was sourcing and buying the soybean oil from somebody who was processing, more or less B2B, and he buys it, takes it to the north, packages it, brands the packaging, and sells. And as the time it came for investing, he was doing a few millions in dollars, in sales. Now, he came to that meeting and was asking for money because he wanted to backwards integrate to set up his own processing plant. Guess what? He got the financing he was looking for. But if you look at where he started from in that particular value chain, the amount of money would have required, yes, it would still have required some money to buy the oil, but at that space, you can also manage the volume you buy, how you trade, and then you scale from there. So the lesson I'm trying to pass across today is the benefit of starting small, but also starting close to where the cash is. Where the cash is. If you do those two things and you have a mindset to grow that business, you are putting in as much as you're getting out from that business, you're putting it back to continue to increase margins, to increase your customer base, to increase your capacity to offtake more volumes from whatever the product, or even if it's a service. This works as well for a service. I spoke some time ago about the escape room business that I started many years ago, and one of the things I learned very quickly is that like I mentioned in the video, you need a certain level of skill of the escape room business if you're going to set up an infrastructure for it to work, because people are coming to the location to experience it. Now, could I have done it differently? Probably. Maybe instead of investing all that money into a location to set it up, what I could have also done was to get a van and set up an escape room experience in the back of the van. Right now, what the difference is here is that it's going to be cheaper to do that, but then I can take that experience all over Lagos, Lekki, mainland, Ikeja. I can take it all over, take it to people, take it to parties, take it to different places. What that does what I would do for the business very quickly is it immediately increases the number of people that are experiencing it. I'm not limiting it to people that are coming to me, but I'm going to them. But the other thing is that it increases the awareness of such a business opportunity. Now, it also helps me to generate a lot more cash flow very quickly. And by doing that, by the time I go back and I want to expand, if I'm speaking to private investors or banks, there's cash flow that is coming through the business that is seen. There's enough interest from the customers that is seen, and that makes it interesting enough for them to want to finance that business opportunity. The message I want to leave with you today is there is no harm, there is no shame in starting small. There's no shame in in thinking of your business as a marathon. What you should not do, however, is just think about it in that small format. The vision should be there, the goal should be clear, but then be happy to start small. Start close to where the cash is or where the cash turns very quickly, and scale the business from there. Thank you very much for listening. And if you found this valuable, please share with your friends and colleagues. Thank you.